José Canseco is the most controversial player in living memory. Sure, there were guys like Pete Rose, Alex Rodriguez, and Barry Bonds. There are guys who went to jail. There are guys who are still in jail. But I promise you, none of them reached the level of sheer insanity that Canseco did. Born in Cuba in 1964, Jose was one of 3 kids. His identical twin, Ozzy, also played in the majors, spending parts of 3 seasons as a left fielder. A puny kid, as he would later call himself, Jose was far from a top prospect. Although he played with future big leaguers like Rafael Palmeiro, he was also on the JV team until his senior year of high school.
I was one of those kids where I was a late bloomer. I had no hair on my face, I had no hair under my underarm anywhere. In high school, I graduated, I think it was 5'11", 165 pounds.
He probably wouldn't have been drafted at all, if not for the fact that his teammate's father, Camilo Pascual, was a former big league pitcher. Pascual saw potential in the skinny 17-year-old and passed this information along to the Oakland Athletics. In June of 1982, the A's selected Canseco in the 15th round of the MLB draft. In 59 single-A games in 1983, Jose struck out 78 times. Clearly, something was going to have to change. Then, everything did. It was the spring of 1984, just a few weeks into the season. Jose was in Modesto, California, slowly working his way up the A's farm system, when he got a phone call. His mother, Barbara, was sick. Barbara was Jose's rock. Although she didn't know much about baseball, she took care of her sons and protected them from their father's beatings. By the time Canseco reached the hospital, his mother was in a coma. She died just a short time later.
The switch went off and I said, Mom, for you, I'm going to become the best player in the world.
And then, somehow, he did. Jose was improving, but he wasn't satisfied. 6 feet tall, but weighing just 180 pounds, Canseco convinced himself that he was too small. Following the season, Canseco returned home to Miami. When he emerged the next spring, he'd added 25 pounds of muscle. Brand new biceps strained his uniform sleeves. His skinny legs were replaced with tree trunks. When he started the season in AAA Tacoma, he hit the ball out of the stadium. Hitting coach Bob Watson said Canseco was like Dale Murphy, Reggie Jackson, and Roberto Clemente, all rolled into one. He was nicknamed the Natural. What they didn't know was that there was nothing natural about Jose Canseco. First though, I want to thank this video's sponsor, Raycon. Did you know that besides being one of the greatest hitters of all time, Ted Williams was also an expert fighter pilot? It's true. From 1943 to 1945, the splendid Splinter stopped playing baseball so he could fight in World War II. Now that's impressive. What's even more impressive is that after coming back from war, he had his best season yet. Now that's what I call a maverick. Sorry. Speaking of being back and better than ever, Raycon is once again offering their fan favorite Everyday Earbuds Classic model, now with active noise cancellation. Combine that with a 32-hour battery life, great audio quality, and free shipping. My Raycons are perfect for any occasion. I wear my Raycons everywhere. When I'm working out, when I'm editing videos, when I'm hanging out with friends, who are all just off screen. I love Raycon, and not just because they sent me this custom, Yankee-themed case of my own. Cause even though I love Teddy Ballgame, you know I have to rep the Bronx. Come on. And now, using the link in the description, you can show your team pride as well. For a limited time, you can get your own Everyday Earbuds Classic, plus a case with your favorite team. The best part is that if you go to buyraycon.com/bbh, you'll get 20% off your order. Thanks again to Raycon for sponsoring this video. The 1980s, an era of consumerism, excess, and individualism. In the words of the decade's greatest philosopher, we were living in a material world. Our politicians became movie stars. Our movie stars became cartoons. Muscle-bound action heroes filled our screens and magazine covers. This is a major reason why the 80s were known as the golden age of bodybuilding. Workout culture was spreading, and gyms were popping up across the country. None of them, though, was more famous than Gold's. It was at Gold's gym where 3 men, 2 American bodybuilders and a British Olympic swimmer, started the biggest black market steroid ring in the United States. William Dillon, Dan Duquesne, and David Jenkins ran an international drug operation using Gold's Gym as their base. They built factories in Mexico and Europe, smuggled the drugs into the country, and distributed them through a vast network of connections. By 1985, steroids had gone from seedy subculture to major trend, which was how, that winter, José Canseco became the godfather of steroids. It took a few weeks for the effects to start showing, but when they did, they were very obvious. When he left Modesto, Jose weighed 180 pounds soaking wet. When he walked into camp that spring, he looked straight out of Rambo. The injections were becoming more constant, and the doses bigger. The shots hurt, but the pain was good. It meant he was keeping the promise to his mother. By September of '85, Canseco had played well enough to earn a late season call-up. Over the last month, the 20-year-old hit .302 with 5 home runs and a stolen base. If '85 was a cup of coffee though, 1986 was a Four Loko, the original kind that put people in the hospital. In 600 at-bats, Canseco had 33 home runs, 117 runs batted in, and an OPS 16% better than league average. He was an all-star and competed in the second ever Home Run Derby. That offseason, he was unanimously chosen as the American League Rookie of the Year. 1986 was the year of José Canseco. He was the new face of the Oakland A's, and that wasn't going to change anytime soon. Right? Mark McGwire was the son of a dentist. Born and raised in Southern California, Mark was an all-American boy. He played baseball, golf, and basketball, attended USC, and was named to the United States Olympic team in 1984. The first baseman had been called up to the Athletics in late 1986. He didn't get off to a great start though, hitting just $189 over 18 games, all in the shadow of José Canseco. As Canseco experimented with different kinds of steroids, his body turned into a hitting machine. He put on more and more muscle, worked out multiple times a day, and looked more like a running back than a baseball player. It's no surprise then that McGwire wanted to know his secret. We don't know when exactly Mark McGwire started juicing. There's proof that he was using PEDs when he broke the home run record in St. Louis, and he admitted to taking them after the '89 season in Oakland. It's possible that he was clean in '87, when he hit 49 home runs as a rookie. Just from looking at him, he was far from the 270-pound behemoth he'd become in the '90s. What we do know is that by 1988, the Bash Brothers, as they came to be known, were the biggest players in baseball. Literally.
Yeah, you know, Mark and I were working out in the gym, the Coliseum, and we both had pretty big arms, pretty big forearms, but McGwire's forearms are twice as big as mine. He's a freak of nature. So we were comparing forearms, kind of hitting them together, and then we were talking about, let's just, if one of us hits a home run, let's just hit forearms together. After bashing forearms, the Oakland A's, PR picked up on it, and boom, instantly we became the Bash Brothers.
McGwire had another all-star season, hitting 32 home runs for the A's. Canseco, meanwhile, led MLB with 42 dingers and won the MVP. He scored 120 runs and drove in 124, and was the first player in history to join the 40-40 club, 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases. This was in large part thanks to their pre-game, routine. According to Canseco, he and McGwire would inject each other in the bathroom at the Oakland Coliseum. No one knew what they were up to in there, but whatever it was working. Now, they may have been brothers on the field, but off it, McGwire and Canseco couldn't have been more different. Mark was quiet and awkward, and preferred to stay away from the media. Jose, on the other hand, loved the spotlight. He did commercials, shirtless photo shoots, drove expensive cars, and stayed out late at clubs. Shockingly, Canseco was a lightning rod for controversy. In the lead up to the 1988 World Series, Washington Post writer Thomas Boswell declared Jose Canseco the most conspicuous example of a player who has made himself great with steroids. Knowing what we know now, Boswell's accusation was more than deserved. At the time, though, many were quick to defend the MVP, including A's manager Tony La Russa. Jose wasn't fazed.
I know it's more or less like a practical joke. A lot of comments Boswell made didn't make any sense. A lot of the comments were untrue and false, and I don't think he took in consideration how much it would hurt the player's family or the player himself.
Coming off of his MVP campaign, Jose Canseco set out to make even more headlines in 1989. And that he did. In January, an unidentified companion of his was stopped for attempting to bring a gun onto a plane. In February, he won a hard-fought battle with the A's over his contract, raising his salary to $1.6 million. A few days later, he was arrested in Florida for driving his new sports car 125 miles an hour down the interstate. That same month, he failed to show at a baseball card convention in New York. In March, he was stopped by police in Arizona for running a red light. He opened the season on the disabled list with a stress fracture in his wrist. While getting treatment in San Francisco, he was arrested by the FBI for having a handgun on a college campus. Then he hurt his wrist again, forcing him to get surgery at the same university where he was arrested. Despite spending the whole first half on the DL, Jose said he was going to play in the All-Star game. The A's said otherwise. Instead, during the break, Canseco was given another speeding ticket in California. Although he was married, he dated the pop star Madonna. At the time, he told the press that they were just friends. Later on, he would claim that she wanted to have a child with him. His actual marriage, on the other hand, wasn't going so hot. In 1992, he was charged with aggravated battery for ramming his wife's car with his Porsche. By that summer, the A's had had enough. Tony La Russa confronted Canseco, demanding to know why he couldn't stay out of trouble. The slugger's reply was blunt. "I see myself as more of an entertainer now." A few months later, he was traded to Texas in the middle of a game. As far as his play went, the early 90s were good for Jose Canseco. But as the years passed and his body aged, he never quite regained his MVP form. He and Rafael Palmeiro tried to bash their forearms together, like he had with McGwire. But it just wasn't the same. What didn't stop, however, were the roids. By the mid-90s, Jose Canseco was more of a walking test subject than a ball player. Almost immediately after he got to Texas, Jose started telling his teammates about how steroids could help them. According to Canseco, he personally injected players like Palmeiro, Juan Gonzalez, and Ivan Rodriguez multiple times. It wasn't just the Rangers, though. All across baseball, and sports as a whole, steroids were becoming more mainstream, and more of a problem. In 1988, sprinter Ben Johnson tested positive for PEDs at the Olympics, and was stripped of his gold medal. In 1991, the East German swim team admitted to using steroids at the Olympics as well. In 1992, former NFL star Lyle Alzado died of brain cancer at just 43. In an interview given before his death, Alzado claimed that his illness was the result of over 20 years of steroid use.
It's a little frightening. I don't want to indict anybody. I just want, however trite this sounds, I don't want anybody to be hurt by it anymore. And either I'm dying or something that obviously a lot is wrong with me. I don't want anybody to have to go through what I'm going through. If I had to make the decision to be part of pro football for 16 years, if I had to do that, to take the steroids that I took, the growth hormone for my comeback and all the other stuff that I did, I would.
In 1990, Congress passed the Anabolic Steroids Control Act in an attempt to crack down on black market sellers. It didn't do much, and steroid use continued to rise throughout the decade. Now, I've already made a video about Mark McGwire, and another one on Sammy Sosa, so I'm not going to talk about the 1998 home run chase, or how McGwire was caught using steroids during it, or how Bud Selig swept it under the rug. If you want to hear about those things, watch either of these videos. Or better yet, watch both of them. For Jose Canseco, watching his former teammate was hard. As McGwire shattered home run records, Canseco led the league in strikeouts. As Mark's star was rising, he found fans in households across America. Jose, meanwhile, had played for 4 teams in 5 years. He knew that McGwire's record was tainted. He knew Sosa was probably dirty too. So why did they get all the love, while he got to be a joke? By 2002, Canseco had finally run out of goodwill. He signed with the Expos in a last-ditch effort to reach 500 homers. After hitting just 200 in spring training, though, he was cut from the team. He signed a minor league deal with the White Sox, but struggled there as well. One day, in the midst of yet another slump, Jose simply stopped showing up. His agent later said that Jose had decided to retire for, quote, personal reasons. His playing days may have been over, but Jose Canseco was far from finished. It was 2005, and baseball's steroid problem had erupted into a full-blown scandal. In 2002, retired MLB player Ken Caminiti admitted that he used PEDs to help him win the MVP in 1996.
First of all, you guys were in first place. Cardinals came in, or you came in and played the Cardinals, and now half game out. What do you think is going to happen here in the rest of the season for you guys?
We just got to show up and play.
In an interview with Sports Illustrated, he estimated that at least half the league was juicing. In 2003, several major names turned up in the Balco investigation. Stars like Gary Sheffield, Jason Giambi, and Barry Bonds are accused of taking steroids from the San Francisco-based lab.
One person who's not able to be here is Greg Anderson. If he happens to be watching TV right now, is there a message you'd like to send out to him?
Why are we in that conversation?
Just
another negative question. I'm not going to get into that.
In 2004, a report finds that up to 20% of the German swimmers involved with doping had developed severe health problems, including mental illness, cancer, and heart disease. That same year, Ken Caminiti died of a heart attack.
The Astros played with heavy hearts tonight, mourning the death of Ken Caminiti. Right now, there's no official word on why the 41-year-old former baseball player died yesterday. He left the sport in 2001 and admitted using steroids during his years as a third baseman for the San Diego Padres, Houston Astros, and others.
Things had gotten so bad that George Bush, in the midst of 2 wars, took time in his State of the Union address to talk about steroids.
The use of performance-enhancing drugs like steroids in baseball, football, and other sports is dangerous, and it sends the wrong message. That there are shortcuts to accomplishment, and that performance is more important than character.
In early 2005, the disgraced slugger published a book titled Juiced. It was a tell-all memoir that he said would blow the lid off the steroid issue.
Why do you suppose you were blackballed?
There's a definite answer for that, and I am writing a book, and you would have to read the book to find out the true story and the true life of Jose Canseco.
The press dismissed Canseco, writing him off as an attention-starved, roided-out whack job. But while the book is terrible, if there's one thing Jose Canseco is an expert on, it's steroids. So when he named guys like Rafael Palmeiro and Mark McGwire as fellow users, well, people listened. In March 2005, less than a month after his book was published, Canseco was called before Congress to testify on PEDs in baseball.
So let me start off, and I know this is a hard one. Are we talking about 1% of players, to your judgment, doing it? Are we talking about 5%, 10%? Is Mr. Canseco the only player in the world to have done this? Mr. Schilling?
No, I don't think he is the only player. I think he's a liar.
Mr. Palmeiro, what do you guess?
I wouldn't know.
Mr. McGwire, would you like to speculate?
I wouldn't know, but there's a big reason why we're here today to talk about it.
Okay. Mr. Sosa, what's your guess?
I won't know. I really...
Mr. Canseco?
Well, when I mentioned the 80%, I mentioned at the peak of steroid use. That may have been somewhere from 94 on to the year 2000. Because of certain instances that have happened, it's definitely curtailed greatly. Yeah.
In this moment, the tables had turned. McGwire, the fan favorite, had been revealed for the fraud he really was. Jose, meanwhile, had been completely vindicated. He made sure everyone knew it, too. publishing another book, naming more names, and doubling down on the ones he named before. If you're wondering, I've also read this one. It also sucks. But that was 20 years ago. What's Jose Canseco doing today? Okay, so I can't cover everything Jose's been up to in recent years. If I did, this video would be 2 hours long, and almost definitely demonetized, if it hasn't been already. But this is the stuff I can show. He appeared on The Surreal Life, a reality show where he lived with other B-list celebrities like Omarosa and Peppa from Salt and Peppa.
And once again, Salt and Peppa!
In 2007, his first year of Hall of Fame eligibility, he received just 6 votes and fell off the ballot. In 2008, he revealed that he had lost his home in California to foreclosure. That fall, a documentary on Canseco was released, focusing on his attempts to end his steroid addiction. On October 10th, a week before it was set to air, Jose was detained at the US border after trying to sneak in fertility drugs from Mexico. In 2010, he made a post begging the Mets to invite him to spring training. He received no response. He was a contestant on The Celebrity Apprentice, but quit within a month. He filed for bankruptcy in 2012, claiming to be nearly $2 million in debt. In 2013, he was pulled over by the police, who found a goat wearing a diaper in his back seat. In 2014, he blew off part of his finger with a gold-plated handgun.
Is this true that you lost a finger at the poker table?
It was actually a joke. So we played it perfectly. The thing looked amazing. I hit my hand. Oh my God, this card stink. The finger went with the cards. When you see these people like, they're like looking at this finger thinking it's real. Look, my buddy says, did Jose Canseco's finger just fall off?
Canseco claims to hold the world record for the 40-yard dash, black belts in karate and taekwondo, and to be an expert with nunchucks. He's been fighting professionally since the 2000s, against former NFL players, child actors, and a 7-foot kickboxer from South Korea. In 2011, he failed to show up to a fight in Florida and sent his twin Ozzy in his place. This was discovered when Ozzy took off his shirt and people saw he didn't have any of Jose's many, many tattoos. And they almost got away with it too. He's also published several theories on the supernatural, from Bigfoot to aliens. He was banned from the Mexican League after refusing to take a drug test.
At first they said that I was on suspension because I tested positive for steroids. How can you test positive when I haven't tested? That's one lie.
His ex-fiancée told the press that he still uses steroids to, quote, stay big. He appeared at Dodger Stadium asking then hitting coach Mark McGwire to be his friend again. It's not all love, though. See, if Jose has one nemesis, it's Alex Rodriguez.
What is the deal between you and A-Rod? What happened between your ex-wife?
Well, I think he realized that I despise him.
Canseco has spent the better part of the last few years on a public crusade against Rodriguez, posting tweet after tweet after tweet, declaring his hatred for the man. It's gotten to the point that he doesn't even need to say A-Rod's name, and everyone knows who he's talking about. He's challenged him to fights, mocked his relationship with J-Lo, and accused him of cheating on her.
Jose Canseco, remember him? Not afraid to play the role of the villain. In a tweet just yesterday, Canseco accuses Rodriguez of cheating on J-Lo with his ex-wife.
In his second book, Jose accused Rodriguez of pursuing his ex-wife, Jessica.
Why haven't you spoken in 10 years?
We had a fallout a very long time ago.
What happened?
And, well, he lied to me about a couple things.
A-Rod has never commented on these posts, and Canseco has never provided evidence for his allegations. But whatever the real reason is, it's probably a good idea not to let these two in the same room. Look, it's easy to make fun of Jose Canseco. Many have done it, and that's probably not going to stop soon. But while a lot of this criticism is deserved, I can't help but see his story as a cautionary tale. We like to think of the steroid era as in the past, a part of baseball history that was ugly, sure, but confined to the 90s and early 2000s. The truth, though, is that the steroid era never ended. It just expanded. With the rise of social media, we've also seen the rise of the grindset influencer.
I'm going to tell you this, my entire company, my entire team, if you don't have a six-pack, you don't work for us.
We live in a culture that feeds on insecurity.
Thank you. All right, bro. Hit the gym.
If you feel bad about yourself, about your body,
If I saw a guy get fat and get rich, I'm not looking up to him.
all you have to do is buy this product, sign up for this course, take this drug, and you'll be happy. But that's a lie. A lie that's destroyed lives. A lie that killed people like Lyle Alzado and Ken Caminiti. A lie that led Jose Canseco to tragedy.